Have you guys heard of the term black fatigue?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You guys know what that means?
Since the last time you came, that's become a thing.
Yeah, I was about to say, that's just become a recent thing.
And do you know what it means?
No, I'm not sure.
I'm going to ask that.
White people are 12 times as likely to be killed by a black person than the other way around. I'm just going to shoot you straight. It's not even close.
Where?
Across the country.
Ain't nobody coming after you. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody tripping on you and but these people in just as scared as the other folks.
They are if they get on a bus.
Not necessarily.
They are if they get on a train.
That lady wasn't in danger because that man was black. That lady was in danger because that man was crazy.
Nope.
Whenever we want to ask for equality and fairness, it's a problem. So white America.
So it's been several $1 trillion. When is it enough?
We're the bird.
No.
We're the bird.
You're
not
the bird.
stopping white America from doing anything.
You know what? The
they
bird
wanna
just
do.
burned down $4 billion worth of cities and
bird ain't burned
60,000
down.
assaults.
No.
Does 3 times to 4 times as much homework than the black kid, and the white kid does 2 to 3. Why?
Because it's culturally, it's conditioned.
Exactly.
So why is it better parenting from Asians than white parents? Why?
You said what?
Well, we're having real talk. Why do young black men fight in packs? You have young white people who are getting more and more mad. I'm just telling you the truth.
What they mad?
And they have the guns. They're mad because this thing. Here's why. They go, look, I'm 12 times more likely to be killed by a black person than you are a white person. And you go, well, that doesn't count. They go, look, my dad's business got burned down.
Yeah.
And where?
My city got burned down. I've been accused of being a racist, even though I'm not. And I'm looking at this right now, and I'm not allowed to have an opinion. And I can't go into certain neighborhoods because I get my ass kicked. And then you just say, yeah, but you've had systemic power. That is a surefire way to breed racism.
We on now. They respect us cause we on now. Money up, run the whole town, don't we? This power money can't slow down. Money won't slow down. Ooh, we doing a lot. Why they party? I'm in here grinding. Money I'm stacking. Why they rock diamonds? I can't relate to them, ain't my shit common. I set a goal for me 2 or 3 commas. 7 figures, 8 figures to 9 figures. On a slow pace to get rich quick. Same time we just think different. Cause when you make it, it hit different.
What it do, y'all? It's your partner Dale back in the saddle again for another edition, an early edition of the Counter Move podcast. This is going to be part 1. I'm doing a part 2 this evening as well. Also, guys, give me a second. I'm doing something real quickly on my phone, real time, guys. If you could do me a favor, if you don't mind, guys. 1 second. There you go. And it's gone. Gotcha. If you could, guys, do me a favor, guys, if you don't mind, like, share, and subscribe, guys. This is going to be a very good one today. To be honest with you guys, I'm pretty excited about this one. I'm all about doing one thing. I'm all about, guys, presenting solutions. That's it, contributing solutions to what's going on with the chaos, guys. All right, guys. So let's dive into our topic today real quickly, guys. We're going to dive right into this real quickly. This midday kind of podcast. Here we go. Guys, Steven Crowder does a lot of debates that are very popular. One is called Change My Mind, which he goes to college campuses, kind of what Charlie Kirk was doing, and having good, productive conversations about what's going on in the world, guys. Well, he did. He's been on another one as well, called Barbershop Talks, is what it is, which is pretty cool, guys. And what's going on here is he has something. He had a topic he's talking about. It's called Black Fatigue. Is real, and I told them why. So he's done this before in the past, but this is more update. We're talking about maybe a couple of weeks ago, maybe a week ago. This is part 1 of this discussion, guys. And so what we're going to do is we're going to dive into this real quickly to where I'm gonna really live respond to this. Okay, I'm going to respond to this, and this is going to be very interesting how this is going to happen, guys. So give me a second while I get everything ready to go. Real quickly here. There we go. Now we're good, guys. So let's dive into this topic, guys. I think you guys are going to really like this one, to be honest with you. My whole thing is to be as fair as possible, guys, to be honest with you. But I had to respond to this. This is part 1, and it gets kind of heated, guys. All right. So let's dive into this whole topic, man, real quickly. Let me bring them up real quickly here. Boom. There we go. Let's go and switch it over, guys. This is the barbershop talk here, guys, that I want you guys to take a look at here. And we're going to live respond to this, right? Live respond. I'm going to see if this looks better this way, guys. Boom. You can kind of see me a little bit. You know what I'm saying? It's all good. Y'all can see me a little bit. It is what it is. But I want you guys to see exactly what's going on so we can kind of live respond to this. Here we go. Let's dive into this. Here we go, guys. Oh, and let me kind of set it up a little bit better. They're talking about a myriad of issues, specifically around those gray areas between the black culture and the white culture, guys. And it's a very good conversation that needs to happen. And how he kind of laid it out, it was pretty cool. So let's dive in this real quick, and then I'm going to live respond to this. All right, guys? Let's get this thing. Here we go.
It's cool. Yeah. What do you guys think, like, when you see someone with a MAGA hat? Because I know we were kind of talking about that last time.
It depends on how they present themselves. To me.
Yeah.
For me.
Well, okay, so like, what would present themselves in a way that would be like decent versus piece of shit?
Yeah, some people carry that air of superiority.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you present that to me, I'm very conscious of that. If you present that to me, I'm gonna respond appropriately.
Yeah.
That's just me personally.
What would be like an air of superiority? Like,
just like certain things you say in conversation, and like you said, just in the physical nature of these chairs. Well, in conversation, you can physically go up and down and put yourself above or beneath. So when people do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that, because I actually, when I do the change my minds and sit with people, I actually kind of slump my shoulders and deliberately kind of make myself smaller, just to not, it's like, what is it, the crab that has the red under its claws is showing danger? So I don't wear red, because apparently that signifies poison. But yeah, no, there's all these body language experts now, you watching TV, and I'm like, this seems like horse shit. Like, he looks to the left so you can tell he's lying.
Yeah, some of it is horse.
It's like, I saw him on camera. He killed his girlfriend with a butter dish. I don't give a shit what he says.
He took too long to say that answer. He had to think about it. No, he's thinking about what he wants to say.
Yeah.
He don't just spit out. He wants to think about what he's saying.
Last time we talked, we were kind of just, and the reason was just like, often you see in news, people just kind of siphon themselves off right into an echo chamber. And I thought it was good. We were just kind of able to see other perspectives. Where do you think the country is now? Like, with that? Like,
is that an open question? Or?
Yeah, race relations between, because last time I wanted to get your perspective, and there's a perspective now in the white community. None of us are an ambassador for the entire community, but things have changed quite a bit the last year and a half. Temperatures have gone up. But what do you guys think? What do you think we are in the country?
I'd like to chime in on that.
Yeah.
I'm happy you asked that question. There are a lot of social and economic dynamics at play that have certainly gone, in my opinion, in the wrong direction. I don't think that people really understand the gravity of where we're headed. We are vastly sliding into an autocratic regime here. And absolutely. I'll give you several reasons. You see, in order to have, you can't have a one-dimensional approach when you're wanting to continue to lead from a global perspective, all right? What you see here today is an isolationism approach, which has never worked in the past because we don't have an understanding of geography and history, all right? And I'll just simply close by saying, you got to understand something. The rest of the world is grossly infuriated with the way America has taken shape. And not only that, we're ceding all our best opportunities to China, right? Look around you in the relationships they're fostering with everybody else, which includes Canada, Mexico, and they've even gone as far down into the Latin American corridor, fortifying their bases while we're still hollering that we're the greatest.
You're talking about China, like in the Panama Canal?
Not just the Panama Canal. Let's pivot from the Panama Canal and let's look at the long-term strategy they have now, where they just signed an agreement with Mexico to build another canal bypassing the Panama Canal. And when you look at the whole transatlantic corridor, where you've got now Brazil and Canada as well as Mexico trading, and they're stopping in Peru, where China has a huge presence at, circumventing completely the navigation, the use that comes with having to use the Panama Canal. So we'll avoid conflict with America and just simply go around America is what's happening here.
Talking about China?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it seems to be that this gentleman is talking about China's strategy to combat what Trump is doing concerning the international policy, what's going on. And he gave a myriad of examples concerning this. I would love to see him talk about how the Trump administration is counter-moving what China's doing, because this is a chess game that the U.S. and China are actually making the two biggest superpowers in the world. This is a chess game. So I'd love to see how Stephen combats this, because this is a good perspective. Here we go.
No, I want to agree with the first part, autocratic. I think China needs to be dealt with, and this is the first time we are. I'm Canadian. Well, I was raised in Canada. Canada sucks. Canada is a dog shit country. Canada, the kind of shit we're doing, you can't do this in Canada. If you say something too offensive, or I say something too offensive, you will be jailed in Canada. That's the thing. So I'm fine with the U.S. being the best country. I came here from Canada because, I have friends who were arrested. I had a friend, stand-up comic, was fined for telling a joke. I don't think people realize how good we have it here in this country compared to other countries. But
that's the painstaking part about it all, is the fact that, I've always been one to say, and I believe this firmly, freedom is not a right. It's a privilege until you wake up the next morning and find out you don't have it anymore.
Yeah. It also comes with duties.
That's what I was about to say. It also comes with responsibilities, because while we free to speak and say what we want, and I went to Montreal a few months ago, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
Bet you saw a lot of tits on signs. That's all it is.
No, I didn't.
It's just strip clubs. Our Times Square is a giant strip club.
It was a couple of them.
Yeah.
But no, like, there is responsibility, and like, everybody's from different places, different backgrounds. Some of us from certain backgrounds know, like, running your mouth too much in a certain space can get your ass whooped.
Yeah.
You can.
Like, you're free to say what you want. You're just not free from the consequences.
Yeah,
like, the consequences that come with you saying the wrong thing at the wrong time to the wrong person.
Yeah.
And that's where we all have responsibilities in what we say and when we say it.
Yeah. The problem, though, too, and I was kind of talking more domestically, the problem with that idea is a lot of people are offended by different things.
Right.
And so people get their ass whooped for something they didn't say, right? That's the real thing. I don't know if you guys were following the stabbing there on that train in Charlotte, Irina Zarutska. Last time I was asking where you guys thought we were, as far as in the country relation. Like, have you guys heard of the term black fatigue?
Here we go.
You guys know what that means?
Since the last time you came, that's become a thing.
Yeah, I was about to say, that's just become a recent thing.
And do you know what it means?
I'm not sure.
I'm going to ask that.
It's a term that's being used by people in the white community, by and large, again, saying they feel like they've been victimized and they're tired of taking that shit. That was a girl who was dying alone in public. And that was a guy who was let out 14 times.
Wow.
14 times, including violent crimes in the name of racial justice, right? He didn't have to post bail. He didn't have to appear back in court. Right. This is not the first time he's assaulted someone.
How do we know that was in the interest of racial justice as opposed to just being
because the judge said it.
A fucked up attempt at justice, period.
Yeah.
Like, the legal system has its flaws.
Yeah.
And people have been making complaints about that for decades, right? But that's just, to me, that's a mental health thing more than it's a black and white thing.
Well, I'll tell you why, because white people are saying it now.
Right.
Not just white people are saying, hey, we're in
what makes
city.
it a bigger thing.
Well, because, white people are 12 times as likely to be killed by a black person than the other way around. I'm just going to shoot you straight. It's not even close.
Where?
Wow.
Across the country.
Where? Not in
The United States. I mean, we're not talking about Ghana. Yeah.
What I'm saying is, in white communities, or in quote unquote so-called white communities,
across the country, the rate is a black man or person, because most murder is men. There are very few female murders. 12 times more likely to kill a white person the other way around.
Wow.
And then you look at the average amount of times that someone in this country is arrested before they're brought in for killing, charged with murder. Do you know how many times they're arrested on average before they murder? 11 times.
Wow.
Once again, the justice system's got its flaws, and people have been complaining about that for years. We spend more time trying to fix that than trying to complain about the white versus black of it all.
Well, I think, just like I was trying to listen to all communities last time, I think this is something that's unavoidable. If this community, if enough white people get pissed off, they're going, look, we're living in New York now, we're getting killed in record numbers, or Detroit, 12 times the rate. And our system, 3 strikes in California, right? That was a 3-strike policy. The reason that was changed, they said it was racist. Crime went down in black communities 30%. But now people are looking at their cities going, this is a fucking hellscape. And the murder is skyrocketed because people said in the name of racial justice, like 3 felonies, you're out.
Because crime is crime, right? But crime is usually going to be higher concentrated in areas where there's high poverty. So
Okay.
typically the areas that's high poverty in this country are areas with people with this color skin. So that's why you're going to have that. That's why I said those numbers could be skewed and made to manipulate to look like, oh yeah, that's why I said in
not at 12 times the rate. Not at 12 times the rate.
In suburban neighborhoods, white people are not in danger, and that's what this kind of fear mongering tells them is that you're in danger because you're 12 times more likely to get killed by a black person. You live in ain't nobody coming after you. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody tripping on you. But these people are just as scared as the other folks.
They are if they get on a bus.
Not necessarily.
They are if they get on a train.
That lady wasn't in danger because that man was black. That lady was in danger because that man was crazy.
Nope.
That man was mentally insane.
But why was he back on
family members? He had his own family members call the hospital to try to get him committed. He told his sister he killed that woman because he thought she was trying to read his mind.
Yep. Why was he let out, though? And I'm not saying it's because he's black.
Yeah,
I'm saying people look at it, though. The judge said
part of black fatigue.
He's insane, right? We agree.
That's not a black and white issue.
He was deemed not fit to stand trial, right?
Right.
Now,
he should have been institutionalized.
Right. The IOU policy, meaning you don't have to pay bail. You don't even have to stay here until you're actually convicted. You just say you'll come back.
Right, which is messed
Whoa,
up.
what?
Yeah, the judge, Teresa Stokes, black woman, said, well, this is about racial justice. We need to be softer on crime. So that's her reasoning. That's why he was out. And you can find dozens of examples.
That's her misguided reasoning.
And that's policy.
But that's systemic, though, right?
That's not representative of a whole.
It's not. It's not. No, and look, we always have to say not all. Like, not all white people wear MAGA hats and are dumbass pieces of racist shit. But we have all been accused of racism, sexism, misogyny, homophobia. What I'm saying is black fatigue is white people going, you know what? I know I'm not racist. And I know that we're dealing with record crime, and I know that I'm more at risk. And they have negative interactions, and they're constantly told that they're not allowed to voice their fucking opinion because they're white. And if those people get pissed off, like that's where we actually could end up with some kind of, I'm telling you, I see this brewing. I see people who were milquetoast white suburban who are becoming actually racist. Now, not all of them, but I've seen people actually become racist because they get mugged, their store gets looted, and nothing gets done. They're going, and if I say something, it's turned into a race thing. I'm telling you what, that's where it's coming from.
And guys, to be honest with you, I can kind of agree with what he's saying from the white perspective. Is when I was running for public office, it was really at the height of the racial tensions in the U.S. It was around like the 2021 range. And I would actually, as I was campaigning, I was getting questions from people saying, hey, how do I respond to people saying I'm not racist? These were more of my white constituents that I was campaigning to, talking to. They said, I'm not racist. How do I respond to this? What do I say? My former pastor, before he retired, he's a white guy, and he taught about it. He preached one of the best sermons I ever heard on race. And what tripped me out is he talked about how he, during the height of the racial tensions, he actually went down to areas and he began to get yelled at just for being a white man. And he was like, how can we exchange here? And he had the wisdom to say, you know what? Now is not the time for me to talk. I'm just going to sit here and just listen because she's not talking to me. It was a female. She's talking to somebody else. I'm just here. And so you were getting these exchanges a lot. And so what Stephen Crowder is saying, which I agree with, that type of approach is yielding a certain fruit. And the fruit that he's talking about, which is a negative fruit, to be honest with you, is white individuals saying, you know what, I'm beginning to be a little racist myself, because if I can't say nothing when you accuse me of something, I got to defend myself somehow. And so I can understand where he's coming from. Let's see how the brothers respond. Here we go.
At what point do we have a talk and go like, okay, let's reform justice, but we have to be honest as to why it was reformed in the first place? This guy, it's not even the only one. It's every 3 days someone's being offed.
Yeah, but at the same time, let's transfer that over to, there's a lot of unsafe things in this world. Like getting mugged by a black person is not the paramount unsafe thing. There's school shootings, there's road rage, there's all of that shit.
Yep.
And the primary people that commit a lot of those are people who don't have this skin.
He's right.
No.
So if switch it over, if black people say, well, we getting fed up and we tired of all these school shootings and all of these road rage and all that, who do we say something to? Who hears our voice?
And when does the white fatigue kick in?
Well, we've been hearing about white.
But hold on one second, though, brothers. you got to answer his question. You can't say, yeah, but, and just disregard his presentation. You're going to have to answer that question because it's an honest assessment of what he's actually seeing from the Caucasian side, the white side, right? So we can't just jump to, no, what about the black folks? We're going to have to answer that question, right? Because both sides actually has a presentation, and both sides have to answer those presentations. You can't just disregard one with another point, right? Comparing. No, address the question first, then bring up your point, if that makes some sense. Let's get into it.
That's the point, right? We've been hearing about it all our lives, about white fatigue, about systemic discrimination. I'm Canadian, right?
Done. That's the problem.
It has been done.
Here.
That's why we've done systemic justice reform that has led to more crime, right? That's the reason for no three-strike policy. That's the reason for cashless bail. That's the reason for catch and release. The reason for it, in the wake of Black Lives Matter, George Floyd riots, Summer of Love, was we're going to reform crime, we're going to reform the justice system, and it's gotten worse everywhere it's been. And then when white people leave those neighborhoods, well, now it's white flight. If they come in, it's gentrification. And I'm telling you, there are a lot of people who are pissed off, and they're not going to sit down and have this conversation and be real about it. And they're going, well, what happens when someone has to keep their mouth shut about everything?
He's right about, guys, he's right about that. When it came to Black Lives Matter, there was some type of policy changes when it comes to law enforcement that did not work. It made the problem worse. And he is right. You can't cry for social justice, right? Black people, I got to say it to us. And then we get trash policies that make crime easier and more lenient when it comes to law enforcement, and then cry some more. He's right. And then he says when the white constituents leave those subdivisions and you call it white flight, he's right. And then when they move in, you say, well, they're gentrifying the whole location. They can't win. So they're saying, you're really not in line for me to even talk about this. And he's spot on. He's right. We have to hear that side of the story as well. Again, back with Black Lives Matter, guys, the message was to our white constituents, our white Americans, our white neighbors, shut up and listen. Okay. They listened, and they're saying, okay, now it's time for you to listen. So both sides need to listen, but let's see how they respond to this. This is really good. Let's go.
Nobody tell you have to.
That's how they feel. That's how they feel.
I don't believe white people have to keep their mouth shut. I think white people don't speak up about a lot of the things that they do and they perpetuate that affects us negatively. That's the stuff that nobody wants to. That the issues aren't made about those things. I really respect the platform that you have because you do have open and honest conversations. And I have to say, I don't believe that those numbers about the black people murdering white people are correct. I don't believe those numbers are correct.
What if they are? What if I'm not lying to you?
If you're not, then I've been misled and I've been isolated from realistic numbers. But I know in this country, from the time that we got here and until now, there's never been hordes of black people that just go out and maraud and menace white people. Interactions happen and things do occur. I'm not saying that they don't, but not by and large in number. We can't be this small a percentage of the overall population and still have the numbers that people try to perpetuate on to us. See, black people do more harm to other black people than we do to other white people.
Well, that's true. That's true. Because people who are close. That's true.
We also have historical evidence of groups of white people attacking and chasing black people.
So it's
coming after.
So when people say
it's not happening now.
So I'm just saying,
and that's the point. Is we're at a precipice right now.
That's a part of the historical condition.
Well, sure, but someone today.
Hold on. I wasn't
Big Mike,
making my point.
Sorry,
hold on one second, though, guys. I got to hold us accountable because he's bringing up some good points from the white perspective, right? To where we can't just disregard what they're saying. You have to hear what he's saying, right? Affirm it, and then offer a rebuttal to that. You can't say, but the black side. We can't do that because then we won't get to a place called a solution. We got to learn how to have productive conversations when it comes to conflict here. We're going to have to do that, guys. And what I see them doing initially in this exchange, and I got to be fair, they did say they like Stephen's platform, which is great. They're not answering any of his questions because Stephen keeps going back to that point, right? Back to it, right? Because for the lion's share, we're in 2025 and 2020, guys. So for the last 5 years, it's been Black Lives Matter, really for Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter. and which is fine because Black lives do matter. But they were like, wait a minute, you can't use that as a billy club to shut up your white counterparts. That ain't kosher at all. But let's see what's going on now. Here we go. Let's get it in.
I'm finished making my point. You know, when like I said, black fatigue, that's the newest mantra that's been put out into society to make people think that, okay, they tired of black people. They tired of what you said, that we can't say anything about black people. We can't do, well, when you hold all the power, when you hold all the economic
here we go.
rights, when you hold all the things that make this country move, when you're in charge of those things, you know what I'm saying? Well, you know what? I put it like this.
Okay.
Black people, white people got the firecrackers, we got the stem. That's it. Y'all got the power. The power is placed outside of the black community.
I will agree with that when it comes to a system scenario, right? This system was developed by our white counterparts. Yes, but at the exact same time, right? At the exact same time, there's been we have a black president, we've had black congressmen, we've had black senators, we currently do as well also, black mayors, black police chiefs, at every level of government, there's been a black person in office. So in some form or fashion, the system had not held us back that much at all because we've ascended to the highest office in the land, the presidency. So, but I would agree with him on this concerning this is a white constructed system, but you have yet to address the concerns that Stephen has brought up concerning your white counterparts. All I'm getting is but black. That's not how you have an exchange here, guys. You have to address those concerns so we can get to a place called a solution, peace. Let's get into it.
We're charged with all the negative things. Those are the things that are really generally coincide with how people relate to us.
Sure.
The bad stuff that's go wrong with this world is the black people's fault. We the smallest part of this country. Remember that. You know what I'm saying? Beside the immigrants that come here. We have been tasked with the negative, the criminal, okay, the immoral. That's us. And that's what we consider, that's white fatigue. But you know what we do? We just say, that's just how it's always been. So we don't make up words for it or terms for it. So now you have a frustrated group of white constituents that feel like, oh, we can't say anything. We have to do this, we have to do that, so you don't be deemed as that. Well, if you wasn't that in the beginning to start with, there would be no need for the reform or the feelings that you have. You can't say anything about, because you done treated us like shit for so long, and people finally stood up and said, hey, you got to stop treating us like shit. Now that you want to feel like, you know, things aren't going in the manner that you want them, now we want the right to keep saying those things.
What if your premise is completely flawed?
Oh, he's going to go to, but guys, I gotta, in some form of capacity, agree a little bit with him in this scenario. And Pastor Tony Evans, Dr. Tony Evans, actually talked about this when it came to what is the white church. And I say white in quotation because it's really the church. There's no black white church. It's just the church. But the church without white constituents, guys, because there was no, as the church, the body of Christ, no correction to the ills that were done to African Americans in the past. This has bred on down. So what's happening is you're seeing the fruits of the teachings of what actually happened years ago. So I see his point there. I can see that. I really can. Let's keep going.
And what I mean by that is, if we're trying to understand it, you said you have power in all those institutions.
Yes.
What if, for example, you have an entire generation of people, okay, young white men, women, okay, who if they apply to a college or apply to a job, they don't have a grant, there's no Pell Grant, there's no type of subsidy, okay, there's no DEI initiative. As a matter of fact, they're likely to be passed over. They hold no institutional power. And when you say black people haven't done anything, when you think of this white person, a young white person, because I'm seeing some people become radicalized and it can become a problem. Yes. And then they see billions of dollars and riots and damages all summer long, and then they go, why is this happening? Black Lives Matter, right? So they're going to make that connection. Now they have no institutional power, but if they go into a neighborhood that's largely black, they're going to get the shit kicked out of them. And they're being blamed for something that supposedly their racist forefather did that they have nothing to do with. You think we're ever going to have unity? This is the problem. Unity, if let's say your dad's a or your grandfather's a and you walk up and you slap his teenager, you now have made that person hate you for life. And that's what I'm seeing with not even my generation. Younger people are going, I had nothing to do with this shit. They came up during the riots. They've come up under DEI, and they're seeing a 12-time murder rate, skyrocketing crime, and any proposals they make not holding institutional power shut down as racist.
Now, why was DEI even instituted in the first place? Because for the majority of time that black people have been in this country and been free, we've been denied so much. Somebody somewhere had to put some things in place to provide access of some kind.
If you believe that, that's fine, but you can't tell that young white kid who had nothing to do with it that he should just sit down and take it, especially when they're getting killed at 12 times a day.
That's what America's been telling us for the longest.
The young white man that has to
not in my
with the
lifetime.
DEI.
But hold on, why do we keep on going back to but the black side? But why can't? That's what I'm saying. Is this is a healthy conversation? But why won't any of the brothers sitting there answer any of his questions directly without saying, but the black side? That and we could talk about the black side. That's cool. No problem with it at all. But you gotta answer his questions. You can't disregard. Stop Heisman his answers. You gotta answer the questions. You got to answer the question. He's brought it up several times. There's been no address to his question. You got to answer the damn question. You got to stop saying, but the black side.
The young person of this generation that you said that feels they're misled by being mistreated by the DEI.
I'm just using it as an example. They don't hold any institutional power. Young white people don't. They don't have an advantage.
Not yet, because they're young white people. They haven't advanced to where they're middle-aged white people, where the power comes. See, what black people, once again, when you got colleges that denied access to black people, you can't come here. Something had to be put in place. Well, look, y'all got to let some black people come in. Y'all can't just
that started happening long before DEI.
But see,
long before black people were admitted into colleges, HBCUs.
Hold on, let me say what I'm trying to say.
But hold on, DEI to me stands for didn't earn it. I'm sorry. I'm not a big proponent, a big advocate of DEI. I'm really not, guys, at all, because of how it was being used. Okay, it was being used to push another agenda, right? And it wasn't benefiting black folks at all. It was benefiting more of the white constituents, which leads me to conclude it wasn't really for white folk, for black folks. It was for other constituents. Just look at the fruits of DEI. Just look at it. So, and also, if there is a quota for black people to go to said universities, I don't want to send my money to that university. Why? If you don't want to accept me because of my merit, you don't deserve my money. That's called free market. That's called being fair. Why would you want to force a institution that's being forced to accept you, right, to university, versus earning your way to it and to the university and saying, because of my merits, because of my accomplishments, because of my excellence, now I'll go to this university. I don't want a university or a job or an organization that's going to accept me because of a damn quota. No, player. No, sir. You get neither my time, neither my resources, or my intellect. You don't deserve it at all. Why would you want your kids, or why would you want to go to a organization that is being forced to hire you versus saying, we got to hire you, we got to bring you in because you are the best? Why? Come on, y'all. We got to do better than this.
My bad, I'm trying to make it clear.
He's trying to do a senior Wences and talk through you. So that,
because you trying to.
No, I get it.
DEI is just a new way of wrapping affirmative action.
No.
Yes.
Affirmative action had to be put in place because there was the access being denied.
But hold on. If affirmative action was so good, right, why did something additional have to be added to it, like DEI? Why? If affirmative action was so good, it was so excellent for black folks, why even add DEI? Why don't you let affirmative action by itself, with this been included? It didn't work. It didn't work at all. At all. And why is it always something for the black folks? If a company or university or any organization does not want to honor me for my efforts, honor me for my excellence, you don't deserve me or my resources. And not my families as well, and not in my communities as well at all. No, at all, on no levels. Period.
Where the legislation had to be put in place. Well, look, we can't just exclude all of them. So somewhere along the line, they have to be allowed some access. Okay, that was put in place. Now, fast forward till now, those same things that are put in place for those people back in those generations that are still in place, they're not excluding people from getting to places they're just still trying to keep those doors open so that those black people that were coming through that door can still get in. Because if you remove those, over time, we will be denied the access again.
If a black person has a lower SAT.
What? Why, when it comes to the black community, and I guess I know I'm going hard on us on this, so give me the grace, all right? Why does the solution have to only be for the black folks? And it has to only come from the government? Why does it seem to where, from a government standpoint, we're considered the victim? Now, I know some folks are going to say, well, what happened to us in the past? Okay, I will acknowledge that. Some stuff happened to us in the past. I acknowledge that 100%. But why does the discussion only begin at the traumatic point? Why don't you ever hear about our triumphs? Oh, in a second, I'm going to play the triumphs, guys. Don't you worry about it. On this podcast, you're going to hear it today. Yes, sir. But I had to bring this in because, again, we have yet to answer any of the concerns that Steven Crowder has brought up. It's always been but the black side. And I'm not going to say it again, guys. You hear it. You hear it. Let's get into it.
T's, right? And lower GPA. Should he get in over an Asian or a white person?
Let me ask.
If all things are supposed to be laid out equal, no, you shouldn't get. If you don't have it,
that's what's happening.
What it takes to get in. No, but
it is happening, and I'm telling you, young white dudes are pissed. I'm telling you,
the majority of what's happening.
It is happening.
It is happening. Relates to DEI. First of all, DEI has been more beneficial. I'm a former commercial contractor, all right? DEI and affirmative action have benefited white people vastly more so than black people. All you gotta do is look at the business ownership or what have you, and you notice that as long as that white female happens to be 51%, then she qualifies as a minority and a double minority because she's white.
So if DEI has been more beneficial to our white constituents, why are you advocating for it? Am I tripping? Why are you saying it's so good for us? If it ain't working for us, why are you advocating for it? Am I tripping? Help a player out. Huh? Make it make sense. What's going on? This bizarro world?
She's among the minority in business ownership, and she happens to be a female, right? So you look at that based on population dynamics, and that automatically tells you this whole thing about DEI was, number one, not as much targeted towards blacks as much as it was targeted towards minorities, which includes that LGBT.
I agree.
Right? So when we talk about that, we need to really deal with the real problem. And as it relates to the riots, let me tell you something right now. Listen, in the black community, I'll be the first thing now. We do have intractable problems that are not going to be solved in one conversation. But what I'm going to say about that, as well as the reason why the black community becomes so infuriated, all right, is when you see gross negligence of justice happen or misjustice happening and nobody does anything. When this guy kneeled on this man's neck, we're going back to George Floyd. Look, if he had done something when he was subdued and on the ground, what was the real reason for kneeling on his neck except to inflict fatal harm? What was it?
I can tell you exactly what it was, and I can tell you why you're not recognizing the problem. Because the opinion polls, and I'm not saying right or wrong, the opinion polls have changed on George Floyd since I last spoke with you. You know why?
Why?
All the body cam footage came out. You know what? You know why? Because he was there for 12, 15 minutes, asked to be put in the car, they put him in the car, asked for air conditioning, gave him air conditioning, asked to be taken out of the car, they took him out of the car. He wouldn't stop moving. People have watched it now and go, you know what? It's not what I thought it was. You know how many times he was arrested before that? 9. He shouldn't have been. You know what would have saved him? 3-strike policy. He robbed a woman at gunpoint with a child in the house. And so white people look at it, young white people, right, who you have to understand during COVID, this is a whole generation of people. White people did not have any fucking opportunities during COVID. They didn't get to go to the graduation, college, black, white, all of them, right? It's a generation that's pissed. Rightfully so, they got screwed. I think we can agree on that. They're going, I watched my city burn down for a guy who was arrested 9 times and committed violent crimes against women. What?
Now, let me say
that's a travesty of
I will agree to George Floyd being arrested multiple times. He should have been let out 9 times. I agree with that. But under no circumstance is it acceptable, no matter if it's taught or not by the local PD, for 9+ minutes, it might be even longer than that, you having your knee on that man's back. We saw it. Under no circumstance. And this is, LaDale talked about, I even ran this by other police officers who are black. Agreed. Said, no, player, it was very clear. Very clear. Derek Chauvin, in my opinion, needs to be under the jail. Under the jail. No matter if he was, if George Floyd was high, whatever, if he was, no matter his past, that does not justify what Derek Chauvin did. Under no circumstance. He belongs under the jail. No, sir. And if information was withheld for a reason, the person that withheld it, that person needs to be held accountable. But yeah, but no, no, under no circumstance. And some black folks disagree with me, and that's cool. No problem with it at all. All I'm saying is I got to ask this question when it comes to Derek Chauvin. I know we're going to George Floyd real fast. Okay, when he is subdued with other cops standing there, what's the reason for the knee on the neck, on the back, for 9+ minutes? Give me the law enforcement reason why for 9 minutes. Okay, 30 seconds a minute, got it. You got him subdued, no problem. 9+ minutes, trash. No sir. No sir. No. Unless someone can give me a logical conclusion of why that action was justified for 9+ minutes, I can't rock with you. Nope. On no levels.
justice. He shouldn't be out in public.
Let me say this to you.
How many felonies does President Trump have on his record? Yet he was still allowed to occupy the most.
No criminal felonies.
Oh, hold on. No criminal. Oh, so now we got brothers. If you are going to say and point to the bogus 34 counts or whatever the number was in New York by Letitia James with the Trump civil case with the biased judge there using bad information when there was no victim at all, and you're using that as your whole premise, trash, horse manure, garbage. If you cool with that, you can no longer say there was injustice with black folks. I'm gonna say it because you just talked about how a miscarriage of justice happened with other previous black folks, but you cool with the one that happened with President Trump? Trash. Hell no, pimp. No, sir. Hell no. Are we serious right now? If it's bad for the black folk, it was bad for him too. You mean tell me you cool with someone being convicted of a crime where there was nobody being harmed? The bank said he was cool. The appraiser came and said it was cool. They wouldn't accept information in. There was no victim at all, but you cool with the conviction? Are we serious right now? But if it happens to a black person, you crying racism. Trash. Hell no. Under no levels. Come on, y'all. Stop this bullshit.
Felonies, but he's got moral felonies, which would, if there was a court of justice for that, he probably would be tried a long time ago. I mean, let's talk about it.
Is this where we all get on board with crazy white bitches who accuse women of rape?
No,
like, I thought we'd find she accused 26 men of rape. That crazy broad.
But here's the reality, though. And when you look at the convergence of this new agenda, where you're going strictly in the blue cities, why is it that most of those blue cities also happen to be occupied? The areas they're going in are heavily occupied by minorities.
Simple pick, dog, because the blue cities are letting the illegal immigrants into them boys. This is a simple question. ICE is going into those areas, those blue cities, the blue cities, because the illegal immigrants are in them boys. They're there because why? They're sanctuary cities. You was crying sanctuary cities before. Now when it's time to crack down on them, now you say, no, this is wrong. What is this? Is this bizarro world? What's going on with this?
Why is that so?
Well, black people tend to vote Democrat, and they're run by Democrats. Detroit, you can look at it. You can look at Chicago. Is that what you mean?
I mean, no, that's not what I'm asking you at all. What I'm asking you is, like I said, with this all-out assault right now, just last night they were talking about something in Chicago, right? But 1 o'clock in the morning, you had people in military gear, what have you, helicopters and all this kind of stuff like this here, not just knocking doors down, but dragging people out.
Because it's the murder capital of the country. You just said black people are more harmed by this. We don't want to take out murderers?
No. I think really what truly was you're confusing what I'm trying to say to you.
Are you talking about the National Guard in Chicago?
No, what I'm trying to say to you is this, though. If we're going to talk about the problem, let's talk about the problem in its totality. The fact about it is, when you talk about white America being pissed, white America is going to always find a reason that doesn't fit their narrative or what have you. But what white America fails to talk about, and what never ceases to amaze me, is the fact that the biggest threat is not going to come from blacks. The biggest threat is coming from within. You look at the average person that's been committing some of the most heinous crimes over the days, it's 22 to 29-year-old white males, right? Look at how ready they were.
It's just not true, man. Violent crime, you just said, like you said, a small percentage of the country, about 12 to 13%, 50% of the violent crime. But the murder, a 12 times likelihood.
That's a skewed stat.
If you just, so you don't listen to them?
No, I said that particular stat is skewed.
It's not skewed. These are from the FBI, DOJ. And you know what else we look at? We look at Roland Fryer from Harvard, who conducted it, black guy, black professor, really respectable guy, honorable man, conducted a study, and he came out and he said, yeah, all of my research says that black men are 0% more likely to be shot by police officers than whites. Black people got so mad at him, he reconducted the study, a black man from Harvard, and he came to the same conclusion, and now he's not black enough.
Wait, so let me see if I understand you clearly.
Yeah.
You're saying, according to this guy's statistics, right, that black people are 0% less likely to be shot by a white police officer.
A liberal professor at Harvard, yes, and he conducted it twice. Because black people said what you're saying. He goes, look, I was as surprised as you. I was trying to find how much worse it is. My data showed me it's not. He reconducted the study an entire time. Wow. Now, he did come to the conclusion that an officer is 18 times more likely to be shot than a black man by an officer. This is a black liberal who studies statistics. At what point do you listen to him?
And I don't believe him.
That's skewed too.
Institution, and if he comes out and says something of the sort, there's no telling the backlash that he may not get. Listen, there are token blacks in every society. I mean, all you have to do is look back throughout.
And there we go, right? And Uncle Tom, this guy, come on.
No, but here's my thing, Steve. Right? I'm not alleging that the guy wasn't Uncle Tom, but let's be frankly honest. How many shootings have happened in most recent history that have involved black men that have been unarmed, and you sit here and use that analogy that black men are 0 times. Listen, as a totally blind individual, listen, I'm even apprehensive. There was an incident where the police stopped us, and it was my cousin and I. My cousin is a retired military vet or what have you, right? And immediately when we got out of the car, out of fear of possibly being shot, the first thing I did was raise my cane and say, officer, I said, listen, I am totally blind. Before we get out of hand with this, right? Now, I shouldn't have to react like that. But when you start looking at what's really happening in this country, many times because see, here's the deal. I don't care if you put on a uniform. You can't legislate the heart of a man and his intent, all right? And many times these officers do allow that badge to give them impunity to operate and exercise their racism. Let's be honest here, Steve.
Some of them do. By the way, I just find it funny that when I came up and shook your hand, you didn't tell me you were blind this whole time.
Okay. That right there's a wholesome moment right there when he's talking about him being blind. Because Steve didn't know he was blind. Okay. From what the young man, I gotta say it. We have to. Stephen Crowder brought up a liberal professor, and I heard that story before, right? And how he conducted that study. And he assumed that it would come out that more favor for the African American community, the black community, concerning the shootings, which is okay. But it came out to where it was contrary to what his assumption was. So he redid it again for a second time, right? And it came out the same. And when he announced those findings, guys, and I'm gonna try to see if I can find it and play it. And this is a black professor at Harvard, liberal Harvard. He would say he wasn't black enough. Called names and said it probably wouldn't be good for his career to release all that information out. And when it's presented in this environment, that's not even discussed. That's skewed. Yeah, you haven't even seen the report. Oh, the numbers are skewed. How are the numbers skewed? Present evidence that the numbers are skewed. And if they are, let's acknowledge it. But if they're not, you can't just dismiss it. Oh, they're skewed. And I have to say it, guys. I have been pulled over before when it came to police for taking it all. I wasn't afraid for my life. And this is LaDale talking. I followed the instructions of it. Now, don't get it twisted. That I have encountered bad cops before. Don't get it twisted. I have. But I've encountered more good cops than bad ones. I mean, it's like 10-1. If not even higher than that. Now, I'm not saying I can put over more. I'm just giving that range there, percentage. But it's like 10-1. I mean, come on, guys. I know a lot more great, wonderful law enforcement officers. Wonderful than bad ones. And the wonderful ones cannot stand the bad ones. So I'm trying to figure out, why is the first thing when you get pulled over, and again, I don't know the history of this young man. I don't know it. It's the first thing is to go into fear versus looking at an outlaw and a police officer as an advocate. Now, again, you may encounter a bad one, no problem. But what I'm saying is that one bad apple should not skew your view on the entire law enforcement force. Just like when it comes to people stereotyping black folks, we don't like for one black person is not the representation of the entire race. It's not. So if you don't want that lumped on African Americans, right? There can't be the same precedence when it comes to law enforcement. It could not. It's real simple. It's not hard, guys.
You didn't tell, I was like, I must have woke you up. You could have said, dude, I'm blind. I was like, oh, my bad. I'm sorry. This whole thing. You just throw that out there like a cluster bomb. I'm like,
Say you should have waved his cane when you came in.
I feel like an asshole in the middle of the room.
That's what I told you when you said, "Does he sleep behind the glasses?" I was like, "No, he just can't see you."
Hey, look, I thought you was making a joke. I said, oh my God, here's this condescending asshole here.
It's okay. He forget he blind sometimes.
I had no idea.
Nah, man, but you know, being
I agree. You can't legislate what's in a man's heart.
I agree.
But you can't throw out everything. You can't go, that stat skewed. That black guy from Harvard who was always a liberal who did it twice, it's skewed. You can't throw it out.
How often do you see black police killing unarmed white people?
Actually,
How often do you see that? How often do you see that?
Well, I tell you, actually, the stats show that when you're dealing with armed white people versus black armed people, white armed people are more likely to be shot by the cops than black.
Wow.
White armed people are more likely to kill police officers. Look at what happened in Kansas where those five police
Let's call the
officers
stats
gunned
a
down.
wash on that. Here's what I do know. Everyone wanted the body cam footage, and I agree. I was like, we should have body cam footage. We should have accountability for police officers, right? And we were to believe after the era of, remember, we went through Trayvon Martin, Tamir Rice, Mike Brown, obviously George Floyd. There were so many that you could use as examples. We thought that we'd have a rash of body cam footage showing us the police brutality. Yeah. You haven't seen body cam footage of note in the last year. Once that footage came out, it's about a 20-to-1 ratio where you see someone getting violent with an officer. We have not seen what we thought we would see. And now people are going, okay, so maybe not the body cam footage, right? We thought we'd see all the abuse.
Wait a minute,
Reflects
before
the
you
stats.
jump off of that point, what about the body cam footage where we see white people and white police and the white citizen is being belligerent with the police, but the police showing extreme restraint in dealing with that person. Whereas black people, we reach for your wallet, bow, you get shot. I got a phone in my hand, bow, you get shot.
And
I'm not doing anything.
And
bow, you get
The
shot.
stats don't reflect it. But white people are being killed in record numbers right now, and they're pissed. And if you keep just not listening to them, look, like you said, white people are the majority of this country. You have young white people who are getting more and more mad. I'm just telling you the truth.
What they mad
and they have the guns. They're mad because this thing. Here's why. Here's why. They go, look, I'm 12 times more likely to be killed by a black person than you are a white person. And you go, well, that doesn't count. They go, look, my dad's business got burned down.
Yeah. And where?
My city got burned down. I've been accused of being a racist, even though I'm not. And I'm looking at this right now, and I'm not allowed to have an opinion, and I can't go into certain neighborhoods because I get my ass kicked, and then you just say, yeah, but you've had systemic power. That is a surefire way to breed racism.
Let's be frank about that, Steve. Now, first of all, here's why I disagree with you emphatically, right? Number one, when it is historically proven when there are riots, and this is the crazy part, most times we as blacks, we tend to riot in our own neighborhood for the same reason why we're not 12 times likely to kill a white person, because of that fact that the penalty is going to be much harsh, okay? If black people really were the kind of threat and menace to white people as we're going to sit here and say that they are, never mind the stats, there's no way in the world that most of us would still be here, because guess what? You guys will find a way to deal with the problem if it is from a multiplicity of angles, all right? So, like I say, when I'm saying this right now, when it comes to
we
stats,
did deal with it.
who controls that narrative, Steve?
We did deal with it. You know what we dealt with it in liberals in blue cities? Cashless bail, catch and release. We did everything that was demanded. Defunded the police in certain neighborhoods. Guess
But
what?
no blacks ever asked for defunding the police
Oh yeah.
officers.
Oh yeah.
Well, here's the deal.
Now I will say it's mostly.
That's what I'm saying.
It's mostly black women. It's mostly black activist women, and that's what they're not representative of black men. I get that.
Just like the guy who killed the lady on the bus that you were talking about earlier, right? He doesn't represent black America and what he did. I mean, listen.
Here's where he does. Just listen to me here. Here's where he does. Here's where he does to a lot of people. And this is what I'm just trying to, because last time I sat and listened, but I want you to hear something really important. Here's where he does. Young white, that person's parents, that person's relatives, look at it and go, wait a second. This guy was out 14 times, and the reason he was out 14 times was because a black female judge, in the name of restorative justice, who has received funding from NGOs, said, we're going to have cashless bail and catch and release and the IOU policy in the name of racial justice. So people are going, my daughter's dead because it would have been racist to keep this guy in jail. You need to understand that, right? But you understand it, though, right? Because you just made those same judgments about people who existed 150 years ago.
Yeah.
This is someone's sister.
Her flawed judgment does not represent the opinion of black people, number one. There you go.
Okay, it represents a systemic correction.
Well, let's talk about systemic correction. And you know what the problem really is? When you defund opportunity.
So what he's saying, that's a good point. Stephen is saying, okay, I'm giving you that part from a systematic standpoint, but when a systematic correction has taken place, this now happens. And what he's saying is the victim's family could say, because of this systematic correction, our daughter now is deceased. That's a reality. You gotta answer that question. So with a systematic correction, did it really correct? Or did it make things worse? This family would say of this young white girl they actually got unfortunately assassinated on that bus by the black gentleman. This family would say, no, it did not. It made it worse. Now what? Now what? Because of these systematic corrections, the person that should not have been out got out. That's a phenomenal point.
Opportunities to provide adequate psychiatric and institutionalization for those kind of people, that wouldn't have happened. Because let me tell you something, even as a black person, as a judge, if you come before me 11 times with all of the information that you provided me with, you know what, before I release you, you know what, I'm going to have you committed to an institution. Because number one, the greater good is for me to preserve public integrity, and that's on both sides of the spectrum. I don't give a damn if you're black or white.
Why do you think they're not committing him to an institution?
Because there's no funding available.
No, they were shut down in the name of restorative racial justice. And that's why he wasn't institutionalized.
And his family
he should have been in prison
too. His family pushed against it in certain like some of them cases where they were in court. His family was saying, "Don't put him in there."
I know, and who gives a shit?
But I'm just saying that's part of it. But when you only include the part that says the judge, you're not giving the whole story, and that's what media ends up doing. That creates these tensions in people. They straw man conversations and only tell part of it.
No, it's not a straw. The tension is there. That's what I'm trying to tell you. The tension is already there. White people are afraid to go in black neighborhoods because
so should black people be afraid to go to school because a white person go come shoot the school up?
Right.
Because every time we see that, that's what keeps happening.
It's not even close.
Church.
But now you're going to ignore. Now you're going to ignore that.
I'm scared to to go to church.
You scared to go to church, but you sitting in the barber shop with almost 12 black men. Come on, Steve. Now let's be realistic.
Who do you think's more at risk sitting down right
Exactly. He know he's not in danger around us.
No, I'm in much more risk.
We don't do that.
And here's the irony.
You know, I just watched my friend die, right?
Steve, let me say this. Know what bothers me about white people, and this is kind of
everything.
No, not everything. Not everything.
Well, we smell like wet dog or some. I've heard all this stuff.
Let me tell you what bothers me about white people. Let's be honest here, because I work with a lot of white people, so I have nothing against them at all. Let me be honest with you. But the problem that the biggest problem that I have is that you constantly get bombarded with the excuses. All right, when you really come down to it, let's be honest, man, and let's be really truthful with one another. Ask yourself, what do you expect when you look at architectural oppression, economic depravity, and social disparity? What would you call it?
I'm sorry. You can, black folks, we cannot be using past trauma as a way to justify bad social policy and bad judging from a black judge concerning a black gentleman that assassinated a white female. I am sorry. We cannot be using it as a billy club. This is what Stephen is talking about, is if this keeps happening, you are quietly, right, bringing this up. You're quietly, there's a rumbling going on our white constituent side to where, okay, you ain't listen to me now. You keep justifying what's going on and you keep pointing back to your past trauma. That's dishonest. We can't be doing that. At all. Oh, no.
Bad decisions.
Huh?
Bad decisions.
Bad decisions.
Yeah, I think right now in 2025, it's bad decisions. I think everyone can make better decisions.
And you know what? I'll even go here with you. In all fairness, I think that's absolutely true. So my question for you is, how do we move past this?
Yeah. Okay.
How do we move past
I
this?
agree with you. I agree. And I think maybe we'll find some common ground here. If we agree there is personal accountability and bad decisions, and I think we also all agree that feminist white are the worst demographic in the country, along with lesbians.
There's a great book that says, and they were her pride. See, that's what I'm saying.
Like, I'm telling you, like, believe me, I don't have a. Hold on. Let me just clarify, and I mean that. Angry white feminist bitches and lesbians, because if they didn't vote, we wouldn't have half of the shit. But, and this is one thing I appreciate about black men, that white men are so, black men can talk about these things, and black men are okay being masculine. White men are told it's sexist. There's a lot there. Personal accountability decisions. Now, just take that and apply it. What you kind of just did here is you blamed white people, without realizing it, for systemic discrimination, and that removes autonomy from a white person to be accountable and also rewarded for their good decisions. So if we agree it's bad decisions, personal accountability, we'd all be against reparations, and we'd all be against the criminal justice reform.
I'm definitely for reparations.
I'm for reparations.
See, that to me, you said excuse.
Yeah.
That sounds like an excuse to me.
You ain't paid me back. You ain't paid me for what you owe me.
What did I take from you?
You can't start another bill
What did I take from
until
you?
you pay this old bill.
What did I take from you?
You didn't take but your ancestors.
But you just said you.
Well, when I say you, I meant it as a euphemism.
But can you understand why white people hear it and get pissed off?
Yeah.
Because I can take shit.
But they're not mad about the advantages that were built into their lives.
So you want young people to pay? It sounds like an excuse.
And even without paying us back, Steve, no, my thoughts are on this here. Give us an opportunity to exercise our ability and our autonomy. Let me give you a perfect example. There's a gal right now, her name is Joy Reid. Look up her.
I know Joy Reid. She's out of her mind.
Look up her educational background. You don't think Harvard gave her a degree just because she was a black person or DEI, do you?
I think she's an idiot.
Okay, so
not because she's black, because she's an idiot.
Okay, so you're entitled to that.
I think Van Jones is smart, and I disagree with him. Joy Reid has said things that are so verifiably untrue. It's insane.
Okay, so but you know, as a man, I'm gonna indulge you and say, hey, you know what? I'm not gonna indulge you. I'm gonna respect your opinion, your frame of thought on that, right? I beg to differ tremendously, but nevertheless, though, that's why we're having this open discussion. But let's really talk about.
Okay, brother, can you present facts? That what you're saying is she talked about factual things that were correct? I know Stephen has the receipts. I have the receipts when it comes to Joy Reid. I believe Van Jones is smart. I don't agree with him, but I think he's a smart guy. Sure. But yeah, Joy Reid, man, she's one of the worst commentators ever. The worst. I got to keep it 1,000 with you. I like Harris Faulkner. She's phenomenal. You know what I'm saying? Like her. You know, so it's not hard, but Joy Reid is the worst. My God, how can you defend what she's doing? How can you? Like, are we? So now let's go to reparations real fast. Reparations. The question I get is, am I for reparations? What I had to get more educated on reparations was who's received it, right? So from a reparations standpoint, I was educated by one of my great friends and other people as well. The Jews received some form of reparations, the Native Americans did, and the Japanese did, right? So the question I actually asked was, okay, I'm rocking with you. Why haven't African Americans received reparations, right? Because if you're saying that from a Jewish perspective and Native American and Japanese, there was a wrong committed against them, and there was a payment due for that, why is there the dragging of feet when it comes to reparations for African Americans? And the one thing I got educated on was that as far as reparations for African Americans, every single state, right, from the get-go did not accept slaves. So therefore, this was a state's issue. And so from a reparations standpoint, what I got was a counter offer to that was, hey, LaDale, yes, it was the wrong committed, but it was not per the nation. This is run by the states, individual states. So if you want reparations, this should be a discussion with your state, not the federal government. Now, when it came to the Japanese and the Native Americans, that was a federal issue, and it was taken care of. When it came to the Jews, I believe there was a federal issue, right, and it was taken care of because you're dealing with a different nation. So it's nation versus nation, a nation with nation, right? So in those three components, right, what I've been counseled on, and I think it's actually accurate, is that reparations, if you want to take it up with your states. And I'm like, I agree with that. I do. But what I was counseled was, and I presented a phenomenal case, and we had a great discussion. It was, you can't force a nation to pay a price that a nation as a whole did not commit, as far as when it comes to an adversary act. This was endorsed by states, not the entire nation. If that makes some sense, guys.
Where we need to go from here on, and that is the fact that black people have every sense of entitlement as it relates to having reparations. And I'm going to tell you why, right? Because nobody has ever been as more loyal to white people despite the treatment than black people have, right? Nobody. You show me one race. You know what? They make options and opportunities available when other ethnicities come here or what have you that we will never get a chance to have, right? And then they turn around and tell us, stop asking about reparations. Whenever we want to ask for equality and fairness, it's a problem. So white America.
So it spends several $1 trillion. When is it enough?
Wait, spend $7 trillion on what? What did they spend it on?
Let's go back to Lyndon Johnson model.
Lyndon Johnson, you're talking about the war on poverty? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
1965?
When was that done?
All right, but here's the deal.
What about the Department of Education?
Here's the deal. So now you're saying the Department of Education. Let's go back to the Department of Education.
Okay, so my point is, hold on. No, I didn't answer your question.
All right.
The reason that this was given, right, when you're talking about the Great Society program, the reason when you look at the Model Cities program, urban planning, $8 billion into Detroit, adjusted for inflation, the reason that, and I don't know if you know this, black students in this country get more spending per pupil than white students. I don't know if you know that. That's an actual fact. Even in impoverished neighborhoods through public funding. These were the reparations that were asked of white people throughout each decade, given, and then we're told, no, that's not the real one. They were given, whether you like them or not, whether you think they work or not. And by the way, I think they're dog shit. I think we should completely suspend the federal Department of Education. I think the Texas state could do a much better job. But those were done in the name of racial reparations because they were demanded,
Steve,
and now it's not enough.
You say that, but Steve, listen.
What was that?
You say we should suspend the Department of Education.
I agree with you, because so why would they do it correctly?
It's not just because it was done in the name of racial justice that it was done incorrectly.
That's the reason for it.
I'm saying that's the reason for it, but along the way of trying to achieve racial justice, you just did it wrong.
But let me ask you.
That's my point.
You said
people did it the way we were
Your
asked.
reasoning was right. Your approach was wrong.
So now you make some 20-year-old kid pay?
No, but you came out and said something that was just You said that you're against the Department of Education, right? Let me tell you
Federal
something.
Department.
Yeah, Federal Department of Education. Let me tell you something that has come up in a lot of circles that I'm always talking about as a person with a disability. The Department of Education does a lot more in terms of, even with the enforcement of Section 504, right? 504 says that you must have accommodations for individuals with disabilities, right? Perfect example of it, when you walked in or someone just walked in, did you hear what that thing said? Right, left. Go down to Austin. Let me tell you something. When you suspend the Department of Education, you're also telling the remain 36 million people in this country who have disabilities, you know what? Screw you. Figure it out. We don't have to do anything, okay? And this is another reason, going back to what we said with the Black America.
I disagree with that, big dog, because just like when it comes to, I would say, forget that. But I think the states could do a better job than the Department of Education. Like, I did a whole podcast on the Department of Education. And when it began its whole mantra, its mission, it was to what? Advance, and I'm paraphrasing, guys, I'm summarizing in my own words, advance the educational standards for our children to compete on the global stage, right? Because America's in the lead. Guys, we're not in the lead at all. We're probably ranked in the bottom 10. So with the creation of the Department of Education, it's gotten worse. And all they've been saying is we need more money. We need more money. So more money has been invested in these areas, and it's gotten worse. It's gotten worse. It's not working. When do we say enough is enough? There's some grifting going on with that money. There is, on a federal level and the state level. I'm not going to omit the state level. You better believe there's some grifting going on there too. But the Department of Education has been trash. It has not fulfilled its mission. Not based on what I said. Read its mission. Go read it. And look at the stats. The stats say we are getting worse. We are. So I believe the states could do a better job at progressing education, right? Because they're the closest to the child, to the families, right? I believe school choice is the best option on the table. Why? Because the parents are the best option to determine what's best for their child, right? The closer the money is to the child, the better the outcome. Come on, guys. Look at the stats. And ask the question honestly. Based on the mission that the Department of Education says that the mission is, are we meeting that mission? The answer by the stats is, hell no, we're not. So it's time to make a change. Real talk. It's time to make a change.
If you don't have certain mechanisms in place to ensure that there is a fair and level playing field, right? Guess what? The controlling party that's in power, or what have you, are not going to say, hey, wait a minute, let's look at this other disenfranchised segment of the community or what have you, and see how can we provide.
I'll disabuse you of that notion. Okay, let me disabuse you of that.
Now, hold on, wait. Why does the solution always come from the government? Why? Black folks, pimping, y'all, us. Why does all the solutions for the benefit of the advancement of the black community only come from the government? Why not our house? Why not our community? Why not us? Why is it always the damn government? Every time? So a bigger government, it hadn't worked so far, right? The solutions coming from the government hasn't worked so far, but next time it is. Huh? Make it make sense. Why is all the solutions from the black folks only coming from the damn government? Can I get an answer to that? I mean, every influencer on the black side that really leans liberal, to be honest with you, every thought leader on the liberal side, right, always says that we can do better with our investments, and it's always an investment. We never look at the return on investment. It's only more investment, more money. Grifting is going on. If there's no ROI being talked about when it comes to these so-called investments, which they're not, right? Grifting is present.
Notion. Go ahead. Over $3 trillion adjusted for inflation, right? The Department of Education, early 70s. Okay, before that, they were run by states. Over $3 trillion. What are math scores? What are literacy scores now? In both
depends on what part of the country you're asking that about.
No justification.
Across the board. You can't go there because I'm gonna tell you why you can't go there.
Hold on. I'll answer the question. Because then I'll show you an example of something that actually works. Because we need solutions. They're across the board down. In other words, $3 trillion, test scores are worse. And they're even worse in poor areas where there's more spending. Do you know where black students in New York City actually do really well? White Catholic schools, where they have more students per teacher, on average 35 plus. In other words, they have fewer teachers. It's done privately. Charter schools, school choice is something I support. That means for everyone in this country. Can't do it because it's racist.
Let's look at the academia, though. Okay,
that's why it's being fought.
When you start talking about that, what have you? When you talk about test scores, we can go just north versus south, or what have you. Let's look at the quality of education that's in these schools, or what have you. Are you going to tell me that it's a standardized academic agenda that's promoted throughout this country, or is it a fact that some people have a different education level than black? Listen, I work with people.
They're bad across the board.
I work with people every day that are out the north that have far excelled in
that's absolutely true.
Than we have in the
bad and worse.
There's
no good. Right. There's no good. There's in here. And what I'm saying is, here's something where we can find common. I've proposed this. Many people have. Where we go, look, instead of giving money to a school, like you say, some of these schools suck, right? Instead of just putting, let's say the average spending is $15,000 per student. That's a rounded number. It's anywhere from 13 to 50. Okay. If instead of putting that money in the administrative costs at a school, what you do is you say, okay, that's a grant, that's a voucher that attaches to the student, and they can take it to any school they want, so they have to compete. So that kid can now choose where they go to school. Can't do it because it's racist. But that's why it's been fought. People say black kids would still be stuck in shit schools than white kids.
Why?
Well, see, that comes
because they wouldn't be able to transport themselves out of a bad neighborhood. Okay. But right now they're stuck with one school.
So when you start asking those whys and go down the rabbit hole of why and start asking, okay, well, why would somebody say that? Well, this is why.
Well, I'll tell you why they really say it. Because of teachers unions.
Because of teachers unions?
Yeah.
Right.
It doesn't make. In other words, if a black kid right now has to go to
because in certain communities where they don't have certain resources, it's a lot of kids. Once again, I've raised my kids, graduated 3 kids from. I've been afforded some things in this community that some people down south don't have.
Yeah,
right.
That's a fact.
And some of these school events, I'm questioning them like, how the hell y'all expect us to have jobs and still transport these kids to and from these events all throughout the day? But if them people down there had to do it,
so you think what we're doing now is better?
Because they ain't got transport. Half of them ain't got transportation.
I think we need to go back to the real truth and the real truth.
Because that's what I'm saying. Because they're in impoverished areas, and we already know based on how we see.
So then how do we fix it? We have to pay for a
areas
car,
don't even
a
have
house?
grocery stores.
No, of course not.
Those same areas
that's
don't.
horseshit.
There's food
I see
deserts.
everyone
Come on now, you don't know
here
about
has a
food
smartphone.
deserts.
You can literally order any food that's ever existed on Earth to any municipality cheaper than ever.
If you're in an area that already has a lack of resources and you're already low income, how you gonna order something?
Amazon, one click.
But see, here's the deal.
We're talking about food deserts 25. Come on.
I think there's a broader problem that we will not discuss. And you know what that is? You've got to go all the way back. This has been an insidious process that's been at work. And the bad part about it is, as long as we as white and black America keep fighting among each other, we'll never see the big picture. You go back to 1982 under Charlotte T. Iceman, who was the Department of Secretary under Ronald Reagan, Department of Education. She wrote a good expose many years later called The Deliberate Dumbing Down of America. She kind of patterned that after that B.F. Skinnerian behavioral modification, and it ties all into the founder before the Department of Education, which was General Education Board, where they say, you know what, we don't need more painters, we don't need more artists, or we don't need more poets. We just want good cogs in a wheel that are easily taught that we can mold under our own hand. That mantra still holds true today. So you got to look at that. You got to look at where we come from. We come from a nation that was industrious and coupled with innovation to now everybody tends to do things like you say with your smartphone. You know why? Because pictures keep you from looking at things contextually, all right? So when you think about this educational system, you got to go back to what changed in this educational system and why we're where we are. Because you can't just simply say, yeah, but you can't just simply say that everybody wants to be dumb or everybody in the South.
I didn't say everybody wants to be dumb.
Okay, well, tell you this too. Here's another problem why scores are so much lower in this country, especially when you talk about black America.
Because money doesn't fix a problem. It's that
Money doesn't.
We've thrown money at the problem and it doesn't do shit.
Right, he's right.
Solve the problem at the core root of it and start reforming the real academia, all right? That's where you solve the. So you know what you tell people? We're going to operate in a system of meritocracy. God damn it, you will eat what you kill. If you're giving you $50,000 to go to school and you decide that you don't want to or you fail to adhere to what's being presented before you, then shame on you.
I agree. You do away with DEI, you do away with the sex affirmative action, do away with all of it. Eat what you kill.
Do away with DEI, but make it fair across the board.
But that's what I'm saying.
I agree.
If you're gonna do away with DEI, you got to make sure that the merits are properly being counted. Because the reason why DEI was invented, reason why affirmative action was invented, is because you'd have two qualified candidates, same qualifications, but one would get in strictly because his name was Johnny and the other one's name was Jamal. Well, we're gonna take Johnny because naturally Johnny's gonna be better at it, but they got the same qualifications. That's why affirmative action was instituted in the first place.
DEI came in because of shrinking white feminists who wanted to claim credit.
That's a snapshot you can present it in, but
I agree with you. I agree.
That's a snapshot you can present it in, but I'm just saying, like, the reason why.
No, what I'm saying is,
you go down to ask why.
I'm being flippant, but the truth is, black people were being admitted in record numbers if they had the same qualifications before DEI and affirmative action. White shrieking feminists wanted to take credit for something that was already happening because people had become less racist, so they can say, tag my white name on there, DEI. See what I did for black people? It's white guilt. And what I'm trying to tell you is young people who have nothing to do with any of this, their guilt is running out, and you can't escape the violent murder rate. You can't escape them losing opportunities and being blamed for being racist when they're not. And you want those kids to pay reparations? You're creating a generation of racists. That's what's going to happen. And
then you're going to have a... Then you're going to have...
We as a black community, we're not creating a generation of racists. You know who's creating that generation of racists? Those older white people are feeding that into their kids. See, all white people are not racist. I don't believe that.
No, of course not.
But the ones that come from families that have that inherent gene or trait in them, they're passing that on.
How?
See, I look at this. The gentleman that got killed, Charlie. He was killed by a white man, a young white man, right? From the generation that you're talking about that's getting fed up.
Well, he was also banging a
now, his dad had one ideology. He followed another ideology. That's out the same household. He didn't come from nowhere black. He wasn't hanging around with no bunch of black people.
I know, I agree. I'm not saying
that mindset. His daddy put whatever was into him. His dad either put that into him or his rebellion from his father caused him to think like that. That we're not creating that. Black people.
That has nothing to do with what I agree with you.
You ever seen over in Africa? You see an elephant with a bird riding on his back. That elephant ain't worried about that bird because that bird not stopping him from doing the thing he want to do. We're the bird.
No.
We're the bird. You're not stopping white Americans from doing anything.
You know what? The bird just burned down $4 billion worth of cities and 60,000 assaults.
No.
And a young white kid. No, hold on. You got to
might get blamed for it.
Right.
The bird is half as big as the elephant.
Steve, you act like it's only blacks that was burning it down.
What about the Black Wall Street?
You know, what I said earlier, and you listen to this, is when you have a young white person going, okay, why is this happening? And people go, Black Lives Matter. And they go, well, hold on a second. I have an opinion on Black Lives Matter. They go, well, sit down, shut up. Okay, now silence is violence. And that kid goes, well, what do I do? By the way, you're on the hook for reparations, even though his father, his grandfather, his great-great-grandfather didn't own a slave, and he's still 12 times more likely to be killed by a black person the other way around. What I'm saying is society is going to create a generation of racists. What do you say to that young white kid?
Right.
What do you say to him?
Stop watching. Stay off of TikTok.
Stop reading stats.
Stop paying attention to what these talking heads are saying because they leading you down the wrong path. They leading you down a path of paranoia and conspiracy theories.
What if their interactions with black people in general are quite negative?
Wow.
Well, we're in it now.
Well, guys, that was, man, that was a extremely good exchange. Now, guys, real quickly, let me give you a different perspective real fast, guys, because of the fact that you heard that exchange. Now, let's hear another side real quickly, right? and I want to focus on one side. I want to focus on a certain, I'm saying one side, but a certain point, guys, real quickly here. All right. Let me bring this in. This is Bob Woodward, and he did a phenomenal job on this one. Now watch this, guys. He gets pressed on this point. Now watch this, guys. Listen to this.
That a lot of people would disagree with you, and they would say, "How could you say that? You know, maybe you're maybe it wasn't back then, but you don't know the America today. You know, you don't know what's going on with the challenges they're facing and the level of racism they're experiencing today."
Sound familiar? We just heard all that. Watch the rebuttal.
In a marketplace, because maybe you are disconnected, kind of like how you were when you thought everybody was black until you joined the Army and you realized that your unit, only 8 were black. What do you say to the people that literally 100% disagree with you and they say there is racism today? It is a challenging time today. What do you say to them?
I say, look at the evidence.
Ooh.
Look at the evidence. You know, a lot of people are like the farmer that came to the creek when it was like coming, it was 3 feet high and moving at about 20 miles an hour, and he forced the mule in and they were swept down the creek. A year later, he comes to the same crossing. This time it's only 6 inches. The mule refuses to go in because the mule had good memory but poor judgment. Conditions were not like they were back in segregation when I was locked up twice in Mississippi. The conditions have changed, but many of us.
So again, this gentleman actually grew up within segregation. So this ain't no theory. This is real world experience, real world.
But again, look at the evidence. When whites were at their worst, we were at our best. As I said, in 1930 to 1940, when segregation and racism was enshrined in law, blacks had the highest marriage rate of any group in society.
Wow.
Elderly people could walk safely in those communities without fear of being assaulted by their grandchildren. So let's look at the evidence. When we refused access to hotels, we built our own hotels.
Look at this.
Financed by our own means.
What?
The Wallahaji in Atlanta, the Carver and Calvert Hotel in Florida, the St. Charles in Chicago, the St. Teresa in New York. I could go on and on. When we were denied access to colleges, we built our own.
Wow. Look at this.
And in fact, our small business formation rate was higher than whites in the 20s, and that really determines any group's participation in the economy. It is not what government does for you or what white people do. In fact, I think those who continue to push this race agenda are Eurocentric. They assume that the destiny of blacks is determined by what white people do. That has never been the case.
Wow.
We closed the education gap in the South between 1920 and 1940. How do we do it? Julius Rosenwald, the CEO of Sears, came together with Booker T. Washington, and he put up $4 million. The black community matched it with $4.8 million. We built 5,000 schools to teach ex-slaves how to read and write. And as a consequence of that study, that in between 1920 and 1940, the education gap in the South between whites and blacks was 3 years, 8th grade for whites, 5th grade for blacks. Within 20 years, that gap closed within 6 months.
Wow.
There were 5 high schools at the turn of the century in New York, Baltimore, Washington, Atlanta, and New Orleans. They had used textbooks, overcrowded classrooms, half the budgets of white schools. But every one of those schools out-tested every white school in those cities.
Wow.
If we were able to close the education gap between 1920 and 1940 through self-determination and hard work, if we were able to out-test white schools in those cities, then the question is, in those same schools today in Baltimore, for instance, where they're run by blacks, not a single student could read at grade level.
Wow.
Or perform at grade level.
Receipts.
And so how can you say that it is racism that is the cause of the present day challenges when under segregation we achieved? One other example we gave from our studies, In 1943, blacks were prohibited from being naval officers. Eleanor Roosevelt persuaded her husband to train them, so they selected 16 black college-educated men for training, the Naval Academy, not the Academy, Naval Training Center. The Navy says, aha, we're going to give these black cadets in 8 weeks what we give white cadets in 16, so they wash out. When these brothers found out what the deal was, they covered the windows in their barracks and stayed up all night and studied. And when they were tested, they scored in the 90th percentile.
Wow.
So then they said, well, they cheated. So they tested them individually. They scored in the 93rd percentile.
Wow.
13 of them eventually.
Unbelievable.
13 of them eventually became naval officers. They call them the Golden 13. You can look
Google
it up.
this?
That test, the test scores today has never been bettered. So, again, I respond to people with evidence. The incarceration rates of blacks from the turn of the century up to the 60s
Look at this.
was under 25%.
Look at that.
Incarceration was under 25%.
Under 25%.
Where are we at
it
today?
Shot up to I think it was like 90,000 blacks were in jail in 1960. That went up to 900,000 over the next 30 years.
Why do you think that is? What happened? What changed?
In in our studies, red, white, and black, we looked at the experiences. We looked at 6 major plantations to find out what the state of marriage was of slaves. 75% of those slaves had a man and woman raising children. The nuclear family continued to prosper in the face of segregation for 100 years. But all of that changed in the 60s with the poverty programs.
Lyndon Johnson?
Yes. Johnson came in, and what happened was the social scientists who were pushing socialism on America, Cloud and Piven at Columbia, said if you disconnect work from income, then school dropout rates will increase, drug addiction, all of those things. And so what the government did was offer welfare as an alternative to a man in the house.
Wow.
We relaxed the rules. We separated work from income, and as a consequence, that was supported by the Black Power movement. Also, the women's movement was anti-man. And so you had a combination of social policy, but policy alone wouldn't have done it. The federal government enticed blacks to go on welfare. Welfare used to be stigmatized in the black community.
It was.
But the federal government began to interpret it as reparations.
Whoa.
And as entitlements. They withdrew any requirement that you should tell the paternity of the father, paternity in cases of pregnancy. All of these, so that more blacks came into the welfare system in the first 5 years of the 70s. Then millions flooded into the system at a time when the unemployment rate was under 4%.
Wow.
So it is a combination of social policies plus the civil rights movement morphed into a race grievance industry, and many of those civil rights leaders became mayors and elected to public office. Where we spent $22 trillion during that period on programs to aid the poor, where 70 cents of every dollar went not to the poor, but those who served the poor.
What percentage of it?
70%.
70% of the $22 trillion went to the people that serve the poor.
They ask which problems are fundable, not which problems are solvable. So in other words, a friend of mine described it this way. He's having a cabin built in Wisconsin. His electrician is a drunk, and the carpenter is has one leg. Their value to him is their skill. But if he was a disabilities director, their value to him would only be the disability. So we have a situation where we have really created a commodity out of poverty.
And by the way, when you're saying
And hey guys, and that is a phenomenal exchange with Patrick Big David and Bob Woodward. I mean, Bob, man. When I say a wealth of knowledge, guys, Bob he is it, guys. He is it. So let me get my thoughts, guys, and then we'll end it. I love the exchange. I love what Steven Crowder's doing with these barbershop talks. Wonderful. The barbershop is a place to where a lot of African Americans go into and talk, and we kind of shoot the breeze of that nature, which is great. Kind of the same as what black women do when they go to the beauty shop, right? Beauty shop, not the salon, the beauty shop. And they get it in. They get it in with their female friends, which is fine. That's the place the black folks will talk about as far as the barbershop issues, sports, family, stuff like that, man, and jokes, things of that nature. It was a good place for us to meet as a community back in the day. Now I cut my own hair. Now I have no hair, but I cut it now my own self. What I would say is this here, guys. It's real simple. Is I like the exchange, but I would say to my black brothers and sisters, please hear what Stephen is saying concerning the rebuttal to the Black Lives Matter situation. And please don't begin it with but the black side, right? Because during the Black Lives Matter thing, we were telling, the Black African American community was telling, not me, but Black community was telling our white counterparts, shut up and listen. Well, that bred a fruit, and there's a rumbling going on right now that Stephen was talking about. And it's not a healthy response from our white counterparts, right? At the exact same time, on our white counterparts, yes, affirm the past ills that actually happened to African Americans, right? Which is fine. Don't just go past that as well. So let's affirm one another. Let's listen, confirm what we heard, so we get to a place called a solution, right? And also to my black counterparts, right? I would say this here: we're going to have to as well, guys, stop beginning the black story from the trauma. There's a reason why I played the Bob Woodward piece with Patrick B. David, is he talked about the successes of our black history. When we were kicked out of hotels, we built our own hotels with our own money. We partnered with the former CEO of Sears Roebuck, right? Matched the $5 million that he put up and built our own schools, right? The Golden 13, they have officers. When it came to what they did, let's talk about our successes. It seems to be when it comes to the black community, the black story, the black context, it begins and ends with slavery. My question is, why? When you have all of this evidence, all of these receipts talking about all of the black successes, I'm confused by that. Help me understand, why does it begin and end with slavery? Please tell me why. Why are we not talking about these solutions, about these successes that we actually had? Right? Why not? There's countless success stories. Why are we only showing the kids the trauma? Why not these successes? Does that make some sense? And I would say, guys, the great equalizer in today's economy, right, today's society, is information. We're in the information age, guys. You can get to any information you can within seconds. Now with ChatGPT, there's really no excuses now. There's nothing we can say holding us back at all. It's just information. As the Bible says, my people perish because of lack of knowledge, right? So we have this right now at our fingertips. YouTube, Rumble, Twitter, ChatGPT, Grok. We have so much information at our disposal. We can get the information in seconds, guys. So we're going to have to begin to do the right thing, guys, right? and really go after that information. We can. I believe it's unwise for us to wait for a government system that you are saying that's been against us to bring the solution. That's called insanity. I'm not saying that we disregard the government entirely. No. But they're the end-all, be-all solution? That don't make no damn sense. It don't. Okay? That's all I'm saying, guys. That's all I am saying. We have some couple comments. Someone said, I'm just here to say that race is a man-made concept, and don't let yourself be trapped in the little box you check on the government forms. We're all immoral souls. Okay, we are not the body, or the mind. You know what? I can agree with some of that context. Yeah, I agree. If someone is pushing race, run from them. Race alone, run from them. They're trying to deceive you. They are. It is what it is, guys. It's what it is. All right, guys. So, hey, let's talk about the traumatic portions of our history. I'm sorry about that, guys. But also, guys, let's also talk about our successes. I did not agree with Barack Obama as president. I voted for him the first time, not the second time. Right? I didn't vote at all the second time for either candidate, right? But I voted for him in 2008. Him becoming the president, no matter if you agree with his policies or not, is a success for the Black community. Black governors, Black police chiefs, Black teachers, Black city councilmen and women, right? Black senators on the federal and state levels, Black principals, Black CEOs, Black entrepreneurs, Black moguls. There's a countless amount of successes we can talk about. Bob Johnson, the former of BET, Michael Jordan, the greatest basketball player of all time. I mean, are we for real? And that's just to name a few. There's countless others. Why do we only talk about the traumatic part of our Black history? Why? I have to get answers to that question. We don't want to talk about anything about any of our successes. It's all about the trauma. We are being fooled. Don't fall for the okie doke. Don't do it. And don't fall for your solution coming from the exact entity that you claim caused all these ills. That's the stupidest thing I've heard in my life. Huh? Why don't the solutions begin at your house, with your community, at your local church, your external family, best friends? Why does it only begin and end with the government? How that make sense? So, guys, I thank you so much for your time in the middle of the day, at the end of the business day, for this, guys. I will be coming back live later on this evening for another kind of podcast. We're going to be talking about the tariff lie and Bitcoin. The tariff lie and Bitcoin, and we're going to focus on this portion right here, guys. Really quickly, let me put it real fast. Right? But here we go. Boom. Bow. Crypto and real estate, the $37 trillion crypto reset. And we're going to talk about this. Cryptocurrency as an asset for mortgages. The digital dollar is here. This evening, we're talking about that. All right, guys. We're talking about that, guys. But guys, man, I hope I added some value to your day, guys. If you could, guys, like, share, and subscribe, guys. And real quick before we get off, guys, I'm always asked, hey, LaDale, with inflation being a little bit high, as well as interest rates being high, LaDale, what type of side hustle can I begin? Guys, it's very simple, guys. I'm a real estate developer and private equity investor by trade. All right, that's what I do. This is what I do. This kind of stuff is fun for me, right? You make money when you buy real estate, not when you actually sell, guys. That's when you make your money, guys. When you buy, not when you sell. I'm giving away a free ebook called Distressed Property Investing. It is free. Completely free, guys. Don't want nothing to do with it at all. How do you get it? Very simple. DM me the word real estate, right? Scan on the QR code on the screen. Or if you look in the show notes, guys, below, right? Click on that little link right there, guys. You take a quick little survey and you can get access to this Distressed Property ebook. It is free, guys. 100% free. And also, guys, really quickly, and I see the comments, guys. I'm getting to you. And also, guys, if real estate is not your thing, I'm rocking with you. Real estate is a very complex industry, guys. Well, there is, I guess, a private equity investor, guys, on a small level, right? FinTech, which stands for financial technology, guys, is exploding. AI, right, guys? Guys, you can actually begin a side hustle in the FinTech arena, guys. You can really begin to build your own private equity side hustle, right? In the essential services arena, guys. It's real simple, guys. Again, this is free information. It is free. Free, guys. How do you get access to the free information? Simple. Scan the QR code right there on the screen. Direct message me the word mentor, right? Or in the show notes below, click on the link below, guys. You get access to it. It is free. All right. The information is free, guys. All right. Let me get some of these comments real quickly here, guys. Let's see here. Thanks so much, guys. Right. We did our own things. Yep. I love the wife school podcast. Love her to death. They want sympathy instead of a solution. Yes, I'm a solutions-oriented guy, guys. That's me. But guys, man, thank you so much for your time. God bless you guys. You know, I ended every single time I see how you guys a little bit. Before you leave while you can, baby. You see that thing. Oh, my bad. My fault. I always get kind of curtailed with this, guys. On Friday, guys, we do Real Estate Friday Lives, guys. Every Friday at 5 p.m. CST on this channel. Cliff and I do Real Estate Friday Lives, guys. Here is a little bit of a sample, guys, for you guys to look at it. Here we go.
What's good, baby? It's your boy Dale. I'm back in the saddle again. Our motto is to buy, build. We already bought it already, so we already own it, free and clear. Refinance to long-term debt, cash flow. That is the motto. Cliff, man, is that a pretty strong motto, man? What do you think?
Man, the model is strong. Like, you're getting each piece of the invest, right?
Guys, Real Estate Friday, every Friday at 5 p.m. CST, guys. I don't like how that looks, guys. My bad, y'all. I'm a big perfectionist, guys. At 5 p.m. CST, guys, it's Real Estate Friday Live, baby. Come kick it with your partner and Cliff, baby. We're going to talk about all things real estate, guys, about mortgage rates and how you can use some simple strategies to be able to turn around your context in the realm of real estate, guys. You are one decision away from changing your entire life, guys. But guys, thank you so much for that. God bless you. See you in a little bit, guys, before you leave. One sec. What is this on my screen, guys? Oh, my bad. Boom. Do me a favor, guys, if you don't mind, guys. Give me your thoughts on this entire presentation. Guys, there's a part 2 coming. There's a part 2 coming, guys. All right. Give me a comment below. Let me know what you think about it, guys, real quickly, guys. And I'll comment with you. And as well, guys. But anyways, guys, before you leave while you can, you see that thing, baby. Take a picture for your mom and them. God bless you guys. See you in a little bit. See you next time, guys. All right, y'all. Peace.
What if you could help families lower their bills and get paid for it? Healthcare premiums, insurance rates, and loan interest just keep climbing higher. And most people just keep paying without knowing that there's a better way. We use a FinTech platform that connects people to lower healthcare costs, competitive auto and home insurance, better loan products, higher yield bank deposits, and even ways to cut energy costs, all in one place. It's the same technology that banks and big corporations use currently. But now entrepreneurs like us can leverage this technology to build an income stream and help others save. Take our 30-second assessment to see if this business model is a fit for you. Click on the link Watch the short video after and let's explore what's possible.
Okay, so you did fixes and flips first, or were they? Now it sounds like you're more buying whole. Okay, so you're wholesaling first. Okay,
because I was broke. I had no credit, I had no money, so I had to get some money coming in. So I learned how to do wholesale.
And you were doing wholesaling at the good time too.
2000.
When it wasn't so saturated. There was.
I kind of saw the debacle coming. Okay, it didn't make any sense. I was like, wait a minute, how can you lend out to retail buyers 99.7%?
Yeah,
just a little bit of a down tick. It's insolvent.
And you got to remember, in some states, because I lived in Florida at the time, you could have loan to value above 100% of your property.
Right.
The first property that I bought, it was 110%. We left the bank with like $30,000.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
It was amazing to me. I was like, why am I not doing this all the time? But then clearly 08, 09 let me know why people shouldn't have been doing that all the time.
08, 09, that's why I made that lion's share of my money.
Wow, okay.
Actually running from the cows, I was running to it.
Of course.
Because I saw it was coming.
Okay.
A lot of my business colleagues back then were buying flippers.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was wise for me to share 50% of my profit with Uncle Sam. He didn't do no work.
Okay.
So why would I give him free money?
Of course.
Okay, how can I make sure I'm still legal, but keep the lion's share of the cash flow?
Of course.
So I began studying the tax code with my accountants and CPAs, and I said, okay, I'm going to buy a whole lot of properties. Now watch this. I actually buy a lot of properties. I take home money when I actually acquire it. Every single time.
Okay, you need to break that down just a little bit.
If you'd like to learn how successful real estate investors make money when they acquire real estate and not when they sell it, click on the link below, swipe up, DM me the word real estate to download our free ebook, Distressed Property Investing. The blueprint is in the ebook. Stay blessed. I'll let your partner and download the ebook today.